Going on, man? D Hill, man. I'm one half of the Dallas duo, just coming in to give my brief thoughts. Last episode of Three Man Weave, we discussed the opening of the Cowboys' job. And, I started to go on a rant, and I told y'all I was going to expound on those thoughts. I do not have D White with me tonight. He is out of town, so I'm gonna just keep it quick, keep it brief. Just get it on out the way. Um, as you know, Brian Schottenheimer has been announced as the next head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. And before I go any further, um, none of what I'm about to really say has anything to do with Brian Schottenheimer. Brian Schottenheimer may be a good coach. He may be a better coach than what his resume has said. But the whole entire issue was the process. Not necessarily hiring Brian Schottenheimer, was more so the process. So, like I said, if you ever listen to anything that he's had to say football wise, he sounds like a football guy. You know, he comes from a football lineage. His dad is a legendary coach. So coaching is in his blood. So, like I said, he could necessarily be a good coach. He hasn't had the opportunity to run his own show. He might have had some ideas and they haven't been brought to fruition. They might have been dismissed because of his position. So now he's getting the opportunity to run things his way to a certain extent because it is Dallas. So like I said, I want to I'm still going to root for him, his success. But like I said, nothing that I really have to necessarily say has anything really to do with him. He could, like I said, he can be a good coach or he could be terrible. We really don't know. A lot of these times we make predictions on when it comes to coaches or what we think they're going to do. Sometimes, like I said, these hot shot coordinators that we prop up and we deem them to be the next best head coach, sometimes they fall flat. Sometimes it is dudes that we had questions about, you know, they exceed expectations. So, like I said, the jury is still out on Brian Schottenheimer. Once again, like I said, no disrespect to that man. You know what I'm saying? The process is the real reason a lot of Cowboy fans is really upset. You know, but
Fuck all that! Nah.
now that I got that out the way, bro, this process was by far one of the worst coaching processes we've ever seen. Like, I get it. It's other franchises that we might deem as jokes and, you know, call them low tier franchises. And, nobody want to take that job or they go give it to one of the black dudes, the quicker fixer upper job, one of the most terrible jobs. Even in that case, that process goes way better than what this process was. The Cowboys front office interviewed 4 people. 2 of them, of course, to comply with the Rooney Rule. You had Robert Saleh. Now, we understand what happened to him in New York. You can make a case that, say he got the raw deal. He was, scapegoated. Maybe he does deserve another chance. You could have sold yourself on that idea of him getting another chance. You could have sold it. You might not have believed it, but you could have sold the idea. Now we get to Leslie Frazier. Now we know what that was. Sorry, my brother. That was a Rooney Rule interview to get that out the way. We know what that was. Well, you move on to Kellen Moore. Okay, Kellen Moore. You let him go, a couple years ago. He had creative decisions, differences with Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy said, hey, look, if I'm going out on my own. I need Kellen Moore up out of here. It was a mutual part in the ways. But now that we find out that part in the ways really wasn't mutual, you know, Kellen kind of felt the kind of way that he was getting, pushed out, and rightfully so. But they interviewed Kellen and made sure, and Kellen was more so looked as the front runner. You want to get a reunion. And if that was the case, you can also sell yourself on a Kellen Moore. Cowboy fans might not have liked it, but at the end of the day, you can still sell yourself on a Kellen. Basically, Dak had some of his best years under Kellen. So you can just remind yourself of what it was and be like, okay, we can duplicate some of this stuff, especially off some of the stops that Kellen had. Maybe he's learned some things, maybe he's grown and he can do some things differently now, especially as also he's in charge. He hasn't been in charge when he was the OC here under two different coaches. So maybe he can do some things differently. So you can sell yourself on that. Then it comes to Brian Schottenheimer. Okay, Brian Schottenheimer has been in the building. He's been in the building for three seasons now. Uh, two as an offensive coordinator, and now 2 of those years he wasn't calling plays. But as it been reported, it was some things that he was trying to get installed in the offense, trying to get things done differently, and they were just being ignored by Mike. Hey, who's to say that is true or not? It is what it is, but it's they always say that if you give, if they gave me the opportunity, I could show you what it really could be. That a lot of people always say that, so you take that with a grain of salt. But I mean, they did have a meeting with him prior to last year, Mike, with the bye week. Hey, look, whatever offense you got going on, what you trying to do is not working. Dak and CD took him to the side, like, look, we got to fix this. And then when they took off after the bye week, was because of said meeting. Was it because of Brian Schottenheimer stealing plays from other people? Strong possibility. But once again, he wasn't calling plays. So we really don't know how much say that he had when it came to that. Um, it's just the process, man. It's like we keep going through this same exact thing. If you know the Joneses, whoever, if you know Steven, if you know Jerry, you got a chance to at least get a come back, or you got a chance to get the job. We've done this before. Jason Garrett took over for Wade Phillips. Kellen Moore took over for let's rewind. Scott Linehan took over for Brian Callahan. Kellen Moore took over for Scott Linehan. Scott Linehan, Kellen Moore was put on Mike McCarthy's staff. Brian Schottenheimer took over for Kellen Moore left. Now Brian Schottenheimer is taking over for Mike McCarthy. It's just a reoccurring same cycle. It is nauseating. And I remember when we was going through this bad season, a lot of people was calling for Mike McCarthy to get fired. And every time a Cowboy fan, we had a discussion and they said, we need to fire Mike. I always said, for who? For who? They always freeze and they always respond, we just need change. And I keep saying, are you sure? These are the people that's making the decisions. Are you sure that you want change? I get it. Mike was hired to do one specific thing, to bare minimum get this team to the NFC Championship. He failed to do that. Whatever the circumstances were, he failed to do that. He knew what the assignment was when he signed up, albeit fair or not. It is what it is. So I understand he didn't need any more time. He had his time, and if he wanted to speak up, to get some things done, he knew his window was to do that. So it is what it is when it comes to this process. I'm skipping over this Dion thing because once again, the Dion thing was merely marketing, headline grabbing. It's the same thing that they continue to do. They keep being so thirsty for headlines. They keep being so thirsty to be the A block on First Take on FS1 shows, and you don't have to do that. They gonna do that. They gonna talk about you regardless. You don't have to force it. They didn't do anything last off season, and they were still being talked about the most when it was a plethora of other teams making moves in the off season, and they double back and discuss the Cowboys. You don't have to be thirsty for the headline. They're going to do it regardless. That's what I just wish that Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, everybody in the front office would just understand that. Like, you don't have to be thirsty for the headline. If you just go about football, everything that you really want to accomplish with the Cowboys will fall in place. You don't think that winning would garner you more money, but you rather just be mediocre and just be talked about? Like, make real sense. I'm speaking in this tone because my daughter's is going to sleep, so I'm trying to just get this up out the way. But it's so frustrating being a Cowboys fan, seeing the same exact thing continue to not work. and they continue to do the same exact thing. And I just got one more point that I really want to harp on before I really get up out of here. So just watch this.
Champion of the bid. He's waiting a long time for a head coaching opportunity. Yeah. So why is Jerry Jones giving him one?
Head coach Schott had a lot of support in the building, not just with Jerry Jones. People at the top really value the relationship they built with Brian Schottenheimer. And the sense around the league is that this is a Dak Prescott hire. Dak Prescott likes Schottenheimer and the offense, the chemistry they have together. He likes the continuity that he brings. So it's kind of just running it back in a lot of ways, even though Mike McCarthy, if they could have found maybe some common ground on the number of years on a deal, he would still be there as of a couple weeks ago, but they just couldn't. So Schottenheimer stays in-house, and there is shock around the league that he somehow rose to the top here despite some other qualified candidates like Kellen Moore. The stage was set for him to get this job. He really wanted this job, and here he is. It didn't work out. So a lot of surprise. Doesn't mean he can't do well. They're going to have a good staff. Sources tell me that Matt Eberflus, recent Chicago Bears head coach, will be heavily in the mix probably as a defensive coordinator. So that's one to watch.
Okay.
First, I want to refute that. Is other reports that Kellen told them no. And, you know, if Kellen told him no, that's a long list of other people that told him no. Mike McCarthy told him no. Bones Fossil told him no. And if the reports are true that Kellen Moore told him no, this is 3 people that told them no. And Al Harris walked. He didn't wait for them to figure out what they were doing with the coaching staff. He walked as well. Also Robert Prince as well. They're not used to being told no. They think they're so upper echelon in the totem pole in the NFL that people are just going to claw and crawl their way to the Cowboys. They just, we the Cowboys. If we offer you a deal, you're going to take it. No, it's a new day and age. Nobody cares about that. Like, nobody cares about that. If Kellen really wanted the job, hey, sorry for you, my brother. But if he told him no, kudos to him. You know what I'm saying? He having other interviews, and he's had a lot of head coaching interviews. Eventually, if he continues to do what he's doing with Philadelphia, eventually he will become a head coach in the league. So just trust me, just take your time, my brother. But the purpose of that video is for them to make it seem like this was a Dak Prescott hire. Here we go again, making Dak on the front line to take the blame. Come on now. Dak like Scott Linehan, Dak like Jason Garrett, Dak like Kellen Moore, Dak like Mike McCarthy, Dak like Brian Schottenheimer. You see the trend here? Dak is a soldier. Dak, even if you don't want to call him a soldier, Dak is a team puppet. He's going to say the right things about anybody that he's come across. Anybody. He hasn't said a negative thing about anybody that has coached him. So of course he's going to give Brian Schottenheimer an endorsement because what he do, that is not important. So to sit here and act like, make it seem like this is a Dak call, you mean to tell me Dak got all this power when you didn't hesitated on paying him multiple times? When we didn't hear multiple offseason about getting somebody that's Dak friendly, and you don't bring in nobody that's Dak friendly? Like, stop with the BS, bro. Like, I get it, man. Like, he's the highest paid quarterback. He got a low playoff percentage record and all that. I get it. He's a punchy bag. He's easy. It's easy to prop Dak out there because you got a lot of detractors out there anyway. It's easy to put him out there and just take the blame. Bro, to sit here, if you really actually believe that Dak was on the front line, that got Brian Schottenheimer hired, you're a fool. I'm going to just say it plain and simple. Dak don't hold that much weight. Get it? Did they ask Dak, hey, what you think about it? And did he give him endorsement? I'm pretty sure. Did that weigh a percentage? I'm pretty sure. But it was a small percentage, bro. Like, let's be honest, dog. They don't really move like they really move for him. Like they really care about him. We've seen this. Like, let's be honest here. Come on, man. Let's be honest. If that was the case, if they really cared about Dak, you wouldn't have got rid of Amari. Or you wouldn't tell him last year, hey, look, you got to do more with less. Like, what are we doing here? If you really cared about him, if you really valued his opinion. But I digress on that point. Listen, we got plenty of time to really discuss this once D. White's return. People know where to hit me. You know what I'm saying? You know where to find me. If you're watching this video, we can have a discussion if you really want to have a discussion. What I really want to hammer down, pause. It does not matter who this head coach was going to be. If they are going to continue to not do anything in free agency, and I'm not asking to make somebody the highest paid free agent. All I'm asking is for them to get some quality free agents, be a player in free agency, and then draft. If you want to keep sitting out shopping at the Dollar Tree when it comes to free agency and thinking that's going to help your team, if you want to still continue to build this team status quo, then it's going to be the same result. Don't sit here and tell me that you don't have cap space. There's so many capologists out here, cap people that break this down. You can get $100 million in cap space if you really want to. If you really want to create some cap space, you can do that. If you really want to get some players out here, Mike had already told you, let's get this deal done so we can sign some of these free agents. So there's no need for you to drag this out. The blueprint has already been in place. That's on you. But once again, if you want to continue to operate like you've been operating, then we're going to have the same exact season that we had last year. Hey, it's Dak's fault, though. Hey, listen, I'm one half of the Dallas duo, and I'm out, man.